Hello learners, I welcome you all to 18th lecture for the course on International Investment Law and the Environment. And in this lecture we are looking at other provisions that are given guarantee to an investor. So some protections that are guaranteed to the investor, and first thing that we will look at is umbrella clause. An umbrella clause is something that you may find in an international investment agreement. So basically what an umbrella clause does is it elevates a contractual matter to a treaty level matter, and therefore when there's a breach of a contractual obligation you can directly invoke the dispute settlement proceedings that are mentioned in the treaty, and you can file an investment arbitration. I mean, you don't have to show a breach of the treaty itself. Violation of contractual obligations can be elevated because umbrella clause, the wording of the umbrella clause will be like obligation that the host state has assumed should have to be respected, obeyed and enforced. So that is how it's worded. So the obligation could mean a broader obligation that could come from contract also, or it may be in the context of any other speeches or any other schemes that the host state had brought in, and wherein certain obligation it is assumed that has to be respected. But you don't find umbrella clause in many treaties, especially in the context of Model India BIT also. We don't find umbrella clause because it elevates contractual dispute also as treaty disputes. It's very overly gives a protection to the investor. So that is the stand of protection it gives to an investor. It's really high because an investor can invoke investment arbitration for contractual breaches. The jurisprudence of interpreting this provision is also something that got developed with this Switzerland-based pre-shipment inspection company, SGS. So the jurisprudence is like there's an arbitral tribunal which refused to elevate. There's an arbitral tribunal which is elevated. Then in case of El Paso case, a middle ground was there. So jurisprudence is also not very consistent, and it's little incoherent, and that is there in terms of all other provisions also. Incoherency is a general criticism against ISTS itself. So that is with regard to umbrella clause. This is one protection you will find in an international investment agreement in favor of the investor. Another provision you will find is called as transfer of money provision. Basically, in an international investment agreement, there will be one provision that states that investor can freely take back the money back to their home state. There are certain carve-outs for this provision. Probably that carve-out would say in case if the country suffers from a balance of payment problem, then the investor cannot take back the money and all of that. So those legitimate concerns may be explicitly mentioned in the BIT. So otherwise, the provision will guarantee free transfer of money back to the home state. And the next provision that you may find in an international investment agreement is with regard to entry and sojourn of the personnel. So basically, if an investor wants to come to the host state in order to conduct any transaction or with related to an activity that is related to the investment, then there shouldn't be any visa problem and all of that for the entry of the investor, as well as the investor should be allowed to stay here for a shorter period of time only with regard to the activities connected with the investment that has been made in the host state, right? So that is also something you may find in an international investment agreement. So these are the provisions that are other protections. Other than this, you will find CSR provision, you will find provisions with regard to maybe let's say what do you call it, disclosure requirements and all of that, but those are not technically a protection given to the investor. So I just wanted to discuss these three provisions: transfer of money, entry and sojourn of person, and umbrella clause. These are additional protections which are not the substantive protection that we already discussed, FET clause, expropriation or FPS clause. So the rest of the provisions also I thought you should know what are the protections, because this sort of marks the the scope of the international investment law principles. So these principles developed in the context of affording protections to investors. So therefore there are not much principles that have been developed, at least historically, for asserting the regulatory right of the host state, especially to protect the environment. That is now coming up in the contemporary times. We do see carve outs. When we draft an expropriation provision in the newer treaties, we see a carve out which says that legitimate regulatory measure cannot be considered as expropriation. So those carve-outs are something that's coming in the newer generation BITs, but not something in the earlier BITs or the older BITs, the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. That time we don't see such sort of a carve-out there. So these protections, the other protections also discussed to understand, to make you understand what sort of what is the scope of the protection given to an investor. And in the next video, we will look at the ISTS, which is a very unique dispute resolution method that you will only find in investment law, because here an investor can directly bring a case against the host state. So that's something that we have to take a look at. So that we will do in the next video, so that we can better appreciate the cases that we will be discussing in the 6th, 7th and 8th week of the course. Thank you.